Adam, how are you?
Well, it's good, boys. Good to be on with you. How we been?
All good. All good, Adam. And you know what? Since you do host the Clipper pregame, halftime, postgame show, and you have your own show on YouTube each and every day, talking about all things all Clippers, we'll start with the Lakers. No, we'll start with the Clippers, Adam. We will start with the Clippers. And they lost to the Timberwolves 108-80, but they were missing several key guys. And you know, it's funny. It's funny. When Kevin puts in the notes, they're missing several key guys, and he lists them. And, Kevin, you do a great job with that. You don't need to mention Kawhi anymore. That's not necessary.
Why not?
Oh, they happen to be they're not missing him. They've never found him.
Oh, wow.
So there's no reason to list him as missing. So aside from the other guys that were missing, Adam, not a great outing.
Well, hold on now. Would it surprise you to know that Kawhi was working out pregame at the Intuit Dome, and there's some video that leaked, and now Bill Simmons is saying he's got a guy with inside sources that saying Kawhi's going to be back before Christmas now?
Yeah.
Means nothing.
Means
Screw
nothing?
you, Fred.
Means nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Why?
First of all, I don't care what people say about when he's coming back. When he plays, we'll worry about it. How long he plays will be the next litmus test.
Okay.
So, I mean, who cares? We'll see you when you start. When they announce his name in the starting lineup, he's back. I'm not getting excited about anything. Because he'll be back and he'll be gone in 5 days.
I understand that point. I think it's somewhat fair, and I'm giving you a little bit of credit for that. I just still feel like it's news. It's not nothing in that regard. Ratings Roggins all about stuff like that. Come on, Kawhi Leonard could be playing in a couple of weeks. That's not completely out of the question.
Well, if that's the case, here's more news.
Yeah, it's
Kawhi Leonard got up this morning. I mean, when he plays, we'll worry about it.
Yeah, but he didn't. It's not like he had a setback that he was working out at the Intuit Dome, and all of a sudden he pulled up, and he's got now a hammy issue, and he's got a foot. Like, this is at least a step in the right direction. Can you not acknowledge that? And it's the holidays, and we might get him before Christmas, Fred. Can you not at least celebrate that for once? Or is it just because it's the Clippers, and you're still pissed off about the free chair you didn't get?
Bingo.
Fair point. I think there are people that believe I harbor that resentment. It's not true. When he plays, I'll be excited. I will be excited to see him play. But until then, I don't care.
It's not true. Your tone says otherwise, Fred. It seems
no,
like
I will be excited to see him play, but I just don't want to hear, Willie, hey, he actually stood up today and took a few shots, and we've got video of it. Wow. Whoa. That's incredible. The guy you signed for 3 more years that can't play stood up. He's like Gordon Hayward. Remember Gordon Hayward? Every time he plays, get hurt?
There's like a couple of differences, but I get your point.
What would those be?
I know. All right, anyway, Adam. They've dropped, what is it? They played 7 games in 11 days, so they're tired anyway, right?
Yeah, they just played 3 and 4. They've had the most condensed schedule so far. They just played 21 games in the last 36 days. They're about to play only 3 in the next 13. But they're 14 and 10. They have the exact same record they had at this time last season, 24 games in. And it's a credit to James Harden. He's been unbelievable, guys, leading this team. He's been available for every game. He probably should be talked about when you bring up MVP discussions right now, because most people had this Clippers team without Kawhi Leonard being a bottom 4 seed in the Western Conference. And right now, they're much better than that. And I think Lawrence Frank, the front office, everything we talked about this summer with this team building a much better defensive identity has come to fruition. They are great on that end.
With the Kawhi injury and knowing that going into the year, and if you were to say 24 games into the season, this is where the record is, this is the performance they're getting from James Harden, is this about what you expected, or have you been pleasantly surprised by it?
Honestly, they've exceeded my expectations. Honestly, I would have signed up for 12 and 12. I would have signed up for them just treading water and being 500 without Kawhi Leonard, and that would have been a win to me. Considering how difficult the schedule has been, and they've gotten some really good victories. They have beaten the Golden State Warriors twice. They have beaten the Denver Nuggets twice. It's not just them loading up and beating the bad teams, which is maybe one of the flaws of the Lakers and why we were all so high on them early in the season. Soft schedule can do something for your record. But this Clippers team, to me, they are outperforming and outkicking the coverage, so to speak, a little bit, because they're not supposed to be in this position without Kawhi Leonard. The idea was just hang around 500, a game or so below, that's fine. Get Kawhi Leonard for 50 games, and you're in business that way. But they've been better than that, and I couldn't be more impressed with the way they have played. Look, the one thing fans want to see every night, is just play hard out there. Just compete. Just play hard. And in that way, the Clippers have been the antithesis of what we've seen from the Lakers recently here.
I was going to say, if that's what fans want to see, then they certainly didn't see it last night with the Lakers. What do you think happened there?
They are a dysfunctional mess right now. What happened there is what's been happening the last 2 weeks. What a difference 2 weeks makes. 2 weeks ago, I was saying, okay, I like what J.J. Redick is doing. I like them benching D'Angelo Russell. Dalton Knecht is getting minutes out there. And now all of a sudden it's a complete dumpster fire. They have lost 6 of 8. They haven't even been competitive in many of those games. And 2 of the games they won, they beat Utah, they beat San Antonio. Who cares? Everyone good they're playing is taking them out quickly. Losing by 41 last night, as JJ said and LeBron said postgame, it's embarrassing, all right, because the effort wasn't even there. They didn't even show up. Guys aren't playing for one another. They look dispirited. They look like they have no idea what the scheme is out there, what they're supposed to be running. Anthony Davis is yelling at guys that are out of position on the defensive end. It's not bringing out the best in anyone. No one's listening. They're not communicating. It is an absolute mess right now with this Lakers team. And I got to say, I didn't see this coming 2 weeks ago.
I was kind of making the point earlier that I think you can only call out your players publicly so many times before they start to look at you in the midst of a losing streak or in the midst of struggles and be like, whoa, what's this all about? And I wonder if J.J. Redick's a brutally honest guy, which is why he was good in the media and he was good at his job. And I wonder if he's trying to have to navigate, hey, man, maybe I can't call out D'Angelo Russell the way that I did. Maybe I can't call out this team after they no-show in Miami. How many more times can you go to that card before LeBron starts to resent it, other players and superstars on the team start to resent it, and then you've lost them completely?
I think it's a great point. I'd be concerned about that right now because when you have to go fire and brimstone this early into a season, eventually you go back to that well one too many times, they start to tune you out, and it just doesn't mean anything. It doesn't have any weight to it anymore. Now, LeBron backed him up last night without even hearing what J.J. Redick said post-game. He just said whatever he said was right. Whatever he said was right. What he's been doing, what he's been preaching is correct. The guys aren't doing it right now. So it kind of feels like it's LeBron and JJ versus everybody else, or LeBron, JJ, and Anthony Davis versus everybody else. LeBron brought up how, look, we've been talking about this stuff since July, and guys just aren't executing out there. They aren't doing what the coach is asking of them. It's not that the scheme is bad, it's that they're not even executing it. They're not trying out there. But that to me tells you, okay, is there some kind of schism between LeBron and J.J. Redick and the rest of the guys because they feel like LeBron brought in J.J.? That's his guy. So this preferential treatment may be at even a different level for a superstar at the status of LeBron James because he handpicked a guy that he was doing podcasts with. It's just a little bit different this time. And I think, guys, this is something where you needed to trade. And I don't normally react like this, but I felt like this summer, there's some holes on this roster. They have too many guys that are good on one end of the court but bad on the other. You got to make a move. And maybe if there's somebody that's toxic in the locker room, if D'Angelo Russell is that guy, we've been talking about him being on the trade block for years now, maybe you make it now and just try to shake things up because I don't think things are getting much better. Tomorrow night, they're taking on an Atlanta Hawks team that has won 5 games in a row and just beat Cleveland twice and are running teams off the floor. Like, this is something where, yes, they get practices next week. The schedule eases up a little bit, but I don't think it's changing like that overnight with the level of effort or lack thereof, the effort they're giving out there by the Lakers.
Adam, the issue is the roster, correct? I mean, just take away this debacle that we're witnessing. It's the roster. And since Rob Pelinka's been there, it's the roster.
Well, it wasn't his first season. This is what is so perplexing and baffling to Lakers fans. You win the championship. You get AD playing the 4 because you have Dwight Howard, because you have JaVale McGee, and Anthony Davis doesn't like playing center. And that was the recipe for success. Yes, they won in the bubble, but they also had the best record in the league before they entered the bubble. They were very good that season. Whatever you want to do to diminish that championship, the roster made sense. It was defense first, and it got Anthony Davis away from having to play center. And then they immediately went away from it for whatever reason, and they've never really gotten back to it. To me, you go out, you get Jonas Valanciunas from the Washington Wizards, who has been banished there. He's been playing backup center for them. He's good. He can stretch the floor. He can shoot the three so it doesn't clog up the paint with him and Anthony Davis next to one another. And you go make a move for Cam Johnson with the Brooklyn Nets, who's been balling out. And by the way, they don't want to win. They're trying to play capture the flag for Cooper Flag, and they're winning too much right now. And Cam just had 26 the other night. The Lakers have 2 first-round picks that they can trade. They have an expiring contract in D'Angelo Russell that some teams might want. Like, there are moves to be made, and I don't think they can wait that much longer because we're over the 25% of the way through the season mark right now. There has to be some sense of urgency to right the ship because JJ Redick last night, guys, he said in the huddle, it feels like we're not together. For a coach to admit that, it's damning. This is serious. 2 weeks ago, everything was fine. You know what changed? That loss to the Orlando Magic when Anthony Davis blew those free throws. Since then, he's only been getting 18 points per game. I wonder if some of this is just Anthony Davis got off to that hot start. He was averaging 30 and 12, and he covered up for a lot of their mistakes, plus they had a soft schedule, and as soon as they got punched in the face and had to face some adversity, that was it. It broke them because they haven't looked the same since then whatsoever.
Fred wanted to erect a statue of Anthony Davis out in front of the Crip after that performance to start the year. So, Fred's to blame a little bit for this. Yeah, I wonder, because we're having this conversation about, what the Lakers do and where the Lakers are at. The Clippers are quietly much more improved. But I got to ask you this, or playing much better than you expected. I was listening last Friday, and I heard a frustrated, distraught Adam Oslin.
Who, me?
When they lost that game to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Okay, and I just wonder, in a game like that in which you laid out on the post-game show a game they should have won, a game they were leading, a game they gave up, to see them a few days later get that same team at home and to put a performance like that last night, how concerned were you with the effort based on a game they should have won on the road a few days earlier and then they get wiped out by Minnesota last night?
Here's the thing. If the variables were the same, if they had the majority of their roster without Kawhi Leonard, if they had Norman Powell, if they had KPJ, if they had Terrence Mann, I would have been much more frustrated over what happened last night, losing by that same team at home by 28, but it just feels like an outlier. 3 games, 4 days. The reason I was so upset with that Friday night game, Jonas, was because of execution down the stretch and the Clippers going 1 for 6 in the last 4 minutes, and then for whatever reason, they didn't want to play the foul game. They just basically let the Minnesota Timberwolves run out the clock. You're down by 1. You could foul, and at worst, you're going to be down by 3 with a chance to tie the game with the three-pointer on the other end. I just could not. That was baffling to me.
So, because I want to paint the picture for you. I left Ace Hardware. I needed to get more lights. Well, my wife thought we didn't have enough lights for the Christmas tree. We did. She just couldn't find them. And so I left. I go around the corner to Ace Hardware, and it's, they got the lot going. They got Christmas music in the store. They got decorations everywhere. It's the end of Black Friday, so it's the holidays through and through. Everything's decorated. I get in the car, I turn the key, and Adam is just unloading.
Oh, I'm like Joe Pesci. I was Joe Pesci in Home Alone saying fricking frigger, and trying to say everything but the other F word.
Oh, it was brilliant. It was brilliant.
Adam, do you ever figure out why they didn't do it?
They wanted to just get the rebound, and they were hoping that the Minnesota Timberwolves would take an early three-pointer, they'd brick it, the Clippers would get the board, down by 1, and they could take a two-pointer to win the game. They had a timeout. But to me, you can't just assume a team is going to make a gaffe like that and give you the basketball back with that much time left on the clock. I think there were some mental errors down the stretch. It looked like the end of a Lakers game, but the game was probably too close to say that, actually.
Haven't had a chance. I just wanted to get your thoughts. The Intuit Dome, early impressions thus far. I have not had a chance to get out there. Fred will not let me go. I would love to go. He won't let me go.
Go.
Go
now.
I tried.
Go right now.
I tried. Yeah, I'll just do it on the Comrex field tap, and we'll just do the show in the car. It's been done before, from what I hear with other hosts. But
yeah, I've heard that as well.
It's so early impressions. of the Intuit Dome? Where have they improved? What could they do to improve as far as the setup?
Well, the Dome is home. I think it's still an adjustment for some Clippers fans just driving to Inglewood instead of to Figueroa. It's just a different location, but the wall and the effect of what Steve Ballmer built with 51 rows straight up where there's no suites to create a college-like raucous atmosphere. So far this season, opponent free throw percentage is the lowest in the Intuit Dome outside of any arena so far in the league. And it's the lowest that it's been anywhere in 9 years. So guys are clanking from the opposition going up against the wall and the Clippers fans that are right on top of them. So it's been great. What's funny is they started 0-4 there. Then they won 9 straight, and then they lost last night to Minnesota there. So they couldn't get to 10 straight victories. But for the most part, the Halo board, guys, it looks like augmented reality. Like there is nothing else like it. I feel like I have a VR, Oculus, or whatever, Quest while I'm in there because it just doesn't seem real to me. Like you have to pinch yourself a little bit. There's remote controls at every seat where you can play games like The Mentalist where you try to guess what color is going to be up there next. And then they zero it down to see who in the arena was the winner. Of the 17,500 people in there, they can figure out exactly who won at that specific seat, and then you get a prize or something like that. So the atmosphere is incredible. Like, it has been really fun, and it's only the best is yet to come. Should they make the playoffs, you're going to see that place, the top's going to blow off.
Yeah, it's really cool, and it's unique when you go inside because, I mean, if I think about, and correct me if I'm wrong, when I was in there, they have suites, but it's like one row of them.
Yeah.
The other, everything else is a seat. So it's really unique in what they did.
The entire idea from Steve Ballmer is he wanted you to be watching the game and engaging with the game so you could help create more noise in there to create a home court advantage. He truly believes that they can win more games because of this arena. And so far with the free throw percentage, it's proving him right by the opposition. So he wants you to be paying attention to the game instead of just people going there for a vibe or whatever, which you can. There's plenty of lounges. It's got all the high-class stuff, but it's about being loud and having that raucous atmosphere.
I'm curious because the UFC is bringing an event there next month. And if anybody saw what they did for their, Noche event that they did a couple months ago, they basically took over Sphere in Vegas and put on an event there, and their production was brilliant. I'm just wondering what they've got in store, because Dana White mentioned the Intuit Dome specifically is that's where I want to go next when we come back to Southern California, and as it turns out, they had something open up, and they're going to be there next month, so that's going to be a fun atmosphere and a fun event to check out.
Well, and the main thing I should have mentioned this first, is what's the most important thing about an arena or a stadium? Being as close as you can be to the action. And there's really not a bad seat in the house. Like, I've gone to the very top as soon as I got a tour there just to see what the effect is, because they say, like, row 20 is 45 feet closer than it was at Crypto at Intuit Dome. And it feels like that. The last row is not a bad seat because it is angled to the nth degree, I guess, as much as you can angle it while still making it safe there. So it's all angles, guys. It's just crazy the way they put this thing together. It feels like you are closer to the action. So it has been a slam dunk, so to speak, so far. I hate using that analogy, but I still think the best is yet to come, and I can't wait till Clipper Nation really settles in there.
All right. Adam, thanks for hanging. We really appreciate it.
All right. Love you guys. Appreciate it.
There he goes, the Saltier, Adam Oslin.